Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are in our Mashava book, our overview of Jewish philosophy. You can find this on corinpub.org. And this is, there you go, so you can check it out there. And this is written by Rabbi Adin, even Israel Steinsaltz, a very, 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 very well-known man who some time ago has passed away. And may his memory be for a blessing. And we did last week, we looked at the Shabbat. And what we're doing is taking a look at it's the cycle of the Jewish year and what Rabbi Steinsaltz sought to do. That sounds better. What he sought to do is explain or give a history, or give an education to his Jewish people. So this book is written. This series is actually a series for Jews, written for Jews by Jews, to help Jews understand, to educate them where a lot of their concepts come from. They're doing mitzvot, they're doing commandments. And a lot of times they might not know why they're doing or how to think about the commandments. So say, for instance, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Well, maybe there's a Jewish person that grew up that their family was secular and they don't know, what does that mean to keep something holy? How do I keep a Shabbat holy? Okay, you do no work. Well, what does that mean? I don't really know what that means. And he goes on to explain what the Shabbat is all about. So here, we're going to look at the Rosh Hodesh. Does that sound like, are you like, what is Rosh Hodesh? Well, I'd like to dedicate this shiur to the memory of Rav Stephen Bernstein, my mother, Iris Elizabeth Roque, Carolyn Jones. Who would you like to dedicate this shiur to? And please, there's a lot going on out there. And if you can think of a person or, it doesn't have to be necessarily your family, but somebody that has passed away or whatever, like that you want to remember for these, lift up their name for a blessing, please include them too. So may all their memories be for a blessing. So the Rosh Hodesh, you may have heard, I hope you've heard, that Israel moves by a lunar calendar. And maybe you can recall from Genesis that Hashem put certain things in certain bodies in the universe to help the Jewish people. Well, at first it was for mankind to do this, but it went to the Jewish people. They actually took on the job of keeping all of Hashem's commandments. And that's why we have Mount Sinai. And one of them is to remember the appointed times. Appointed times, the Shabbat. And that's what we're actually going through with the cycle of the Jewish year. These appointed times. So every week, once a week, there's a holiday called Shabbat, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. And every new moon, there's a holiday called Rosh Hodesh. The head of the month. Not Rosh Hodeshim, the head of the month, the start of the month. So when you have no moon, that's the start of the month. And I think we did a Torah Parsha where Rabbi Bernstein was talking about how you use the Mishkan. You had to recognize the new moon from the Mishkan or the temple. Mishkan means the tabernacle. And now that that's gone, he was talking about how calculations and things are used to figure out when the new moon is, when the new month starts. And if you're a Rambam Maimonides fan, Rambam in his book on the mitzvot, he actually lined out how to do the calculations of figuring out that there's a new moon. So it's a big thing in Israel because it's an appointed time. So let's read a little bit more. I just wanted to give you a little bit of starting information so you know. So it's a start of a new month. And next week, we're actually going to go through all of the months of the year. And there's holidays in each month and kind of just give you an idea, huh? So let's go. So the first mitzvah that the children of Israel were commanded to perform was the sanctification of the new month. All right, so that's the first commandment that they were given. Isn't this interesting? The first commandment they were told to perform, not that they were given, that they were told to perform is the sanctification of the new month. So every time the moon is concealed, hidden, and then it's reborn, a new month begins. So the act of determining the first day of each month symbolizes constant renewal. And I love that because Rabbi Bernstein always explained to us the hidden and revealed. The hidden and revealed. The day-night cycle, the Shekhinah, the Hodesh. So this just makes so much sense. From the moon, the Jewish people learn how to renew themselves within a fixed reality. Truth. Every month involves a different type of renewal. So each year we have 12 different ways in which to renew ourselves. We being the Jewish people, I'm just speaking from how Rabbi Steinsaltz is talking. So Rosh Hodesh, that is the day sanctified as the beginning of a new month, which is fixed according to the moon, bears special significance to women who also have a monthly cycle of renewal. So this section is called Starting Over. God commanded the Jewish people to learn from the moon and renew themselves. In a world that proceeds as though everything is predetermined, we Jews are instructed to sanctify the new moon and to believe in constant renewal. The pagan outlook espouses preserving the status quo, not renewal. Interesting. Paganism does not recognize anything new, not on earth, nor in people, nor in the gods and idols it sets above the world and humankind. Everything has iron necessity. Today evolves from yesterday. Tomorrow from today, necessarily. Just as paganism denies the concept of creation from nothing, ex nihilo, that is, unrestricted creation in accordance with the free will of the Creator, so too it rejects paganism. It rejects the notion of creation ex nihilo with regard to one's moral state, that is, the ability to bring about personal change, and with regard to one's fate. Wow, the fact that so he's saying paganism denies that you can change yourself. Guilt and evil are forced to generate guilt and evil, and so forth. A vicious cycle. Accordingly, a person's heart lacks any connection to a free, unlimited God. According to it being the pagan worldview, there is no free God ruling in and over the world. Everything is swept down an unseeing, unchanging, and unavoidable course. All freedom is just an illusion. Anything new is an extension of the old. So starting over or renewing, there's a subtopic from that. So the mitzvah to sanctify the new month was given specifically in Egypt in order to negate its pagan worldview. So this is interesting. So now I'm kind of wondering, is Rav Steinsaltz speaking from the Egyptian pagan worldview as opposed to some other kind of worldview? So let's check that out. So let me read that again. The mitzvah or the commandment to sanctify or set apart as special, to sanctify the new month was given specifically in Egypt in order to negate its pagan worldview. So it continues on. Therefore, it states in the verse containing the commandment to sanctify the new month, in the land of Egypt, you get that in Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. That is, in the land that consistently embraced paganism, Egypt, in the land where pagan stagnation spread even to the social structure of the region, creating the restrictions of the class system. Wow. Stagnation spread through the social structure. They couldn't even, as a people, he is saying, grow. Because the class system became restricted. It was in Egypt, therefore, that God called the future leaders of his nation, Israel nation, Moshe and Aaron, and he showed them the crescent of the moon struggling to escape from the darkness into a new light, and said, "This will be an example for you. Just as this one which is restrained, that is covered and hidden, returns to its youth, excuse me, so shall you take renewal for yourselves in freedom. Whenever it appears, it will remind you of the renewal of your youth in freedom. And when I renew you, and when you renew yourselves, you, like this moon, will pass through the night sky of the nations, proclaiming everything the teaching of renewal." Proclaiming everywhere the teaching of renewal, the teaching of God who creates in freedom and brings us out into freedom, the teaching of man who receives from the hands of this God the freedom of morality and the freedom of destiny. This renewal is in fact directly derived from the meaning of the name He Vav Yod, the Tetragrammaton, the God who brings about through freedom every moment of the future. Every Jew calls God by this name when he serves him silently in the depths of his heart. That comes from Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch from Exodus chapter 12, verse 1, his commentary on that. Another subject about a sub-subject about starting over each month constitutes a unique path of renewal, and the Jewish people are commanded to find the opportunity for renewal every month. So Rabbi Yehuda Arya Leib Alter, the older, from his book Sefat Emat, the book of truth, and Bo, come, or receive sometimes, or come, he says, these 12 days, which are the first days of each month, are 12 channels or gates for bringing renewal into the world of nature. The Jewish people brought this about, meriting to open up these pathways. With regard to this, it is said in the Mussar prayer on Rosh Hodesh, "You have chosen your people Israel from all nations and have set for them rules for the new moon." So he's commenting on each month constitutes a unique path of renewal, and the Jewish people are commanded, it's a mitzvah for them to find the opportunity for renewal every month. Okay, this is a subtopic from Rabbi Dadok HaKohen of Lublin, Mahshavot and Harutz 7. His speaking on the moon is renewed each time as it is once again illuminated by the sun. Likewise, Jewish people are renewed because they again receive the light of God. This month, Nisan, is the beginning of months. We get that in Exodus chapter 12, verse 2. Because it is the beginning of all the moon's renewals. So this is cool. So those of you that studied with us, and we actually did this with Rabbi Bernstein, the beginning of months. So this rabbi says, yes, it is the beginning of months. Why? Because it's the beginning of all the moon's renewal. So every month has a new moon. For each renewal occurs through receiving light that the sun emits in accordance with its orbit. As the sun emits light in that month, that is at the time of the year when it changes of its course in the different periods of the year, so it is with the renewal of the moon, which receives from the sun. Likewise, the renewal of the Jewish people is through receiving the light of the Lord. And again, it's the Tetragrammatron, Megatron, the ineffable name of God, who illuminates them with the emanation of his light, emanating conceptual light upon the lower world. And this is the light of his, what's that called? What's that light called? That indicates Hashem's presence in the world. The Shekinah, which rests in the souls of the Jewish people such that they are able to attain this light. So I love this. The light goes from something, the Shekinah, to inside the Jewish people, if they can see it, if they're able to attain it. And they're working on that. And I think we read last time, was it the Shabbat? Even if what I loved about the Shabbat was, because the Jewish people are a nation that's both inside space and time, the only one, it's outside space and time, inside space and time, that even the ones that aren't doing Shabbat, they still receive the light on them, whether they're doing that mitzvah or not, because it's not them as an individual, they're part of this entity called Israel. And I just think, what a special people. Okay, Okay, so this topic is called Rosh Hodesh, a special day for women. It's customary for women to refrain from performing labor on Rosh Hodesh because they did not sin at the golden calf. If you don't know what I'm talking about, hit that Rashi on that section and you will see. The strong faith of women relates to their spiritual source, the Sphira of Malchut, which is symbolized by the moon. Interesting. So the women have strong faith, and Rabbi is saying that it relates to their spiritual source, the strong faith, which is the Malchut, which is symbolized by the moon. The moon receives its light from the sun, and its light depends on the sun alone. Women perceived their relationship to the Creator in the same way. So Rosh Hodesh, this beginning of the month, was given to women as a reward for having resisted participating in the sin of the golden calf. It's necessary to understand, why was the festival of Rosh Hodesh given specifically to women as a day on which they are prohibited from performing labor? Are not women exempt from positive time-bound mitzvot, and therefore it is odd that they would have such a specifically time-bound custom? Well, there's many reasons for this. So in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, there is a reason for this. When the mixed multitude, when the Gentiles, the Egyptians and such, joined the children of Israel for the exodus from Egypt, it caused Israel to go astray and make the golden calf, and said to them, remove the gold rings, from Exodus 32 verse 2. The women did not contribute to this, and therefore they were given a reward, the holiday of Rosh Hodesh. So this is cool. Rabbi Bernstein always said to us, when you do a commandment, or you do a mitzvah, what do you get when you complete a mitzvah? Another mitzvah, another good work, another commandment to fulfill. That's how you know Hashem is happy with you. So these women, they kept on like, no, Moshe said he's coming back. We're not giving you our stuff to do what you're trying to do. And they were rewarded by this with a holiday. So this it sounds like a midrash from Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. The spiritual explanation for the women's refusal to participate in the sin of the golden calf relates to their spiritual source. The women did not accept that thinking behind the sin of the golden calf, because women are of the feminine realm, whose source is from the Sphira of the Malchut. The Malchut is the source of all things that have been created, and a revelation from it can be felt in a person's soul. And the women felt this revelation of divine providence and did not accept that thinking, and therefore did not remove their gold rings. All right. So Rosh Hodesh symbolizes the connection between the moon and the sun, and at the same time between the world and the divine light. So because on Rosh Hodesh the moon receives reflected light from the sun, and its light essentially comes from the sun, the moon represents the Malchut, which is God's name Elohim, symbolizing God's revelation to the world, which receives all its power from the Tetragrammaton, symbolizing God's mastery of the world. And this relates to the unity of the Tetragrammaton. I always say Tetragrammaton, but it's Tetragrammaton. I got Transformers on my mind. Unity of Tetragrammaton Elohim, who did not put their faith, and Elohim. It relates to the unity of that four-letter name of Hashem and Elohim. Therefore, women whose source is from the Malchut, the name Elohim, who did not put their faith in the golden calf, were rewarded with the cessation of labor, no labor on Rosh Hodesh, which is about the unity of the Tetragrammaton and Elohim. We get that from Rabbi Shmuel Schneerson and Torat Shmuel 5640, Volume 1, titled Noah. Okay, here's our little story from Rav Steinsaltz called Rejoice with the Blessing of the Moon. That's right. This is by Rabbi Yosef Haim. Rejoice, rejoice with the blessing of the moon, the renewal of the moon when my heart is joyous, and we will pummel our foes by the light of the Shekhinah. He who acts in truth, his actions are truth, and it will be completed in the completion of its construction. The lady shall be renewed with the raising of the crown. All the way to the crown, the sphere of Keter, of glory, the sphere of Tiferet, with the glory, Tiferet, and of understanding, Binah. O he who brings salvation, dissolve the oath, come and reveal yourself in the heavenly city. The renewal of souls will be in all worlds. The names will shine all around and at every corner. Implore now before God, may he send the Redeemer, gathering Israel whom he has acquired. Lord, hear now this plea and send now reprieve. Please save. Please bring success. All right. So that was all about the Rosh Hodesh, which we learned Hashem had to show Moshe and Aaron. They had never seen one before. And he had to show them what it looked like so that they could teach the children of Israel how to look for that. And so basically, that is our lesson for today from Rav Steinsaltz. And the next one, we're going to go into those actual months. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're getting a lot out of it. Remember, write your concepts down. Think about them. That's how you study. And then you'll be able to start chaining these ideas together and thinking more complex thoughts because you have the sages, the power of the sages of Israel behind you. So stay tuned for the next one. See you then.